What is going on, my sexy gamers? It's that one dude, Shotgun6343. Now, some of y'all may know that Destiny's story, or lack thereof, quite honestly, has easily been one of the biggest complaints of the game so far. Well, rumor has it that what we played in the final product isn't what Bungie had at first envisioned when they began creating this game. So I'm going to be running through all the rumors / evidence that shows what Destiny was, is, and what it still might become. Now, of course, everything I'll be discussing in this video is all speculation, and it goes without saying, spoiler alert.
The stories tell of a golden age long ago, when our civilization spanned the system. It was a bright and hopeful time, but it didn't last. Something hit us, knocked us down, and tried to stamp us out. No one knows exactly what, but we do know this: very few of us survived. And those who did owe their lives to the Traveler.
A common theme between everybody is that Destiny just doesn't seem like the game it was supposed to be, and now we may have answers to why that exactly is. It all started a couple weeks ago when a player posted on Destiny's subreddit that he overheard a fallen enemy say, "The darkness!" as the player attacked him. Basically, the idea is that the player is actually part of the game's story Darkness, you know, the evilness within the Destiny universe, and the Traveler, which is that white spirit protecting us, was actually an evil force that ravaged humanity and now calls for the extinction of all other races in the galaxy. So we're basically the bad guys in this game, and we just don't know it. Where ever heard this plot before? So since then, what started off as a fabled rumor has now grown into something that seems legitimately plausible thanks to the internet. This scenario was magnified even more when another Reddit user posted about his NDA restricted thoughts of the game's original story, in which he experienced during a testing session back in early 2013. In it, he described a much different progression of events, and one that supports a fan theory about the game's grand twist of Destiny, being that the mysterious Traveler is actually evil. So I'm basically going to summarize what this guy wrote. The story revolves around discovering that there's something wrong with the Speaker and the Traveler. As a Guardian, you were abducted by this yet-to-be-named group led by the Crow. The Traveler was the cause of the collapse of the Golden Age, at least that's what this group found out through their travels, and that the Darkness was a spawn of the Traveler rather than its rival. Essentially, when the Traveler was brought to Earth, it unleashed the Darkness and took over the technology humanity used and turned it against them. Being that happened centuries ago, the truth was twisted through the Speaker to say that the Traveler protected the Earth in its darkest moment rather than destroyed it. Since then, fans have been determined to uncover more information about the old plot and the changes since. Most of it revolves around the idea that it had something to do with the departure of lead writer Joe Staton, who left in 2013 well ahead of the launch. The story was changed into something else either before or after his departure, and even at the last minute, a new writer was brought in to write the game's Glimmer cards, which takes the vast majority of the game's lore and reduces it to a handful of sentences that aren't even available in the game itself. The evidence for all this is there, and surprisingly, what supports the theory the most is Bungie's own Destiny videos. The reveal video documentary, Pathways Out of the Darkness, shows the Queen's brother, theorized to be the Lost Crow character, appearing on Earth in Old Russia to confront the player at gunpoint.
Why is the city breathing down my neck?
Why don't you put that down so we can talk?
Out here in the wild, this is how we talk.
That scene is nowhere to be found in the game, yet it somehow fits perfectly with this lost narrative. Also, in that same video, the game showcases more and different content than what actually appeared in the game's final release. If you look at countless articles from 2013 and even going back to the reveal video documentary, it becomes very obvious that the game we have today is vastly different from what it was just over a year ago. For starters, there's references to areas such as Old Chicago, the Ghost Fleet in the Rings of Saturn, Charlemagne's Vault, and others that very clearly never made it to the full game, despite being fully made and playable around a year ago. Additionally, in the video, we see a in-game location in the Reef, and we also see a pine forest area in the game that never saw the light of day as well. Even PvP might have been affected by this change. We see a reference to faction wars in the video. It appears that the justification and explanation of these different factions inside the tower might have also been cut. Have you ever wanted to trade some gear with your friends? Well, based on what environmental artist Mike Zack said in a developer commentary for the gameplay reveal, it looks like some basic elements such as trading were removed.
She's got some sweet clothes, an awesome cape.
She's a hunter.
All customized gear that's either acquired on many adventures, or purchased, or traded, or gambled for.
Even a few days ago, a player ran into a bug where it stopped him from going to the tower and somehow revealed other missions, including new strikes and raids. Based on the video, there are at least 13 substantial pieces of content, which are all locked due to the user not having the Dark Below or the House of Wolf expansions. So let's address the elephant in the room here. Is this content already on the retail and digital copies of Destiny? It's a good question. I mean, it really is, but I highly doubt it. Instead, I think they're just placeholders. They're probably just placeholders to encourage the purchase of these expansions later on down the road when they finally do come out. My biggest concern is that with the exception of the Reef Raid, no new planets appear to be dropping into our universe with these new expansions. If this is true, then a majority of these big changes seem to have taken place within the last year or so. Given the game's relatively lack of cutscenes and the story being condensed almost entirely to Glimmer lore, it doesn't seem unreasonable that the larger story was either cut or withheld. All of this adds up to fill in a lot of the blanks as to why Destiny's story seemed to be so lackluster and unfinished. So the question is, will this version of the story ever come to pass? Maybe Bungie decided, rather than players finding out about the twist early in the game, that they will wait until either the future DLCs or a full-fledged sequel comes out before this plot comes to fruition. So what do you guys think? Was what we played in the actual game what Bungie intended Destiny to be all along? Or was there trouble in paradise in which Activision and Bungie had to revise the script due to unfortunate circumstances? Honestly, who knows? It could be something entirely different. Perhaps Bungie has not yet had the time to explain the full scope of the Destiny universe. As they've always said, Destiny is a constantly evolving game. So I'll leave you here with an excerpt from the Glimmer card, The Black Garden.
This is the vision I had when I leapt from the shores of time and let myself sink. I walked beneath the blossoms, the light came from ahead, and the shadows of the flowers were worlds. They said things, but I would not write them here. At the end of the path grew a flower in the shape of a ghost. I reached out to pluck it, and it cut me with a thorn. I bled, and the blood was light. The ghost said to me, "You are a dead thing, made by a dead power, in the shape of the dead. All you will ever do is kill. You do not belong here. This is a place of life." "The traveler is life," I said. "You are a creature of darkness. You seek to deceive me." But I looked behind me, down the long slope where the blossoms tumbled in the warm wind and the great trees wept sap like blood or wine, and I felt doubt. When my ghost raised me from the sea, there was a thorn cut in my left hand, and it has not healed since.
What does it mean? I have no idea, but maybe if you turn your head and squint and look at early concept art, the game's infamous Black Garden might actually be inside the Traveler, reinforcing the idea that an evil force lurks inside. You know, one thing I wish they didn't change was Peter Dinklage actually being kind of enjoyable.
We always visit such cheerful places. Oh, it looks even better up here. We'll need more light to find a way across. Hang tight, I'll find some sticks to rub together. And by sticks, I mean highly complex circuits that I am fully equipped to repair, revive, and otherwise